and a really exciting morning. Hey, there's kind of like, I'm going to do a soft launch of a series. Is that okay? I don't know if you can do a soft launch of a series, but I'm going to do a soft launch of a series. Our series is titled, This is the Gospel. This is the gospel, and really the gospel, that word gospel means good news. Good news. And I pray that as we go through this, that every Sunday you would go like, oh, that's good news. That's really good news. Hopefully as you heard about baptism again, you're like, that's good news. I'm excited about that. So we're going to do that. Who knows where we're going to go. Christmas is fast approaching, but I'm pretty sure the gospel relates pretty well to Christmas. And so should be pretty good, hey? Hey, one of the great joys, I was just reflecting on growing up, and one of the great joys I had while growing up was I used to love climbing trees. Anyone else love climbing trees? I just loved climbing trees. And our church was this old school Presbyterian, well-established church, and there were these massive trees, these huge trees. And after every Sunday service, there was either the massive trees or there was a gravesite. And so after the end of the services, our friends, me and my friends, would either go run to the trees and climb the trees, or would actually go into the gravesite, and there was this big bank that you could dig out. It wasn't near the graves, but a big bank that you could dig out, and you'd find old metal and everything. And that was what we did after church every single day. But what we do, we go and climb these trees, and I love these trees. They're massive trees. We'd climb them. Occasionally, we'd fall out of them. Those were the good old days, health and safety, what? And just awesome time. But I think when it comes to climbing trees, it's like from a very young age, you need to have the skill set to be able to identify a climbable tree, right? It's like you got to know the distinctives of a tree that is climbable and trees that aren't climbable. I actually don't have my clicker today, team, so if you could click for me, just that'd be awesome. Look at this wonderful tree. Well, that's not a tree. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, look at that beautiful tree. It's a stunning tree, but it's not a climbable tree, right? There's some very key distinctives that make that an unclimbable tree. And so I just want to speak quickly about two important attributes of a climbing tree. Is that good? Is that good news? Good news? All right, so the first one is this. Look at this tree. Woo! That's better, hey? I think the two distinctives of a climbable tree is first, it needs to have a sturdy low branch. We agree? It needs to have a sturdy low branch, a reachable low branch, so that you can begin, right? The other tree was beautiful, but there was no sturdy low branch so that you could begin the climb. And number two is this. It needs to have a stable high branch or high branches, and that's in order to continue. Make sense? So we need a low branch so that we can begin the climb, and then we need subsequent sturdy high branches so that we can go higher. It's fun climbing a tree when you just get up, but then if there's no other branches to climb, it loses a bit of adventure pretty quickly, doesn't it? You're just sitting a little bit above the ground. So we need those stable high branches. And the title of my sermon this morning is A God Who is Accessible and Ascendable. A God who is accessible and ascendable. That word ascendable is the word like climbable. There's a journey that you can go on, scalable. A God who is accessible and ascendable. I think it was a couple of weeks back, or even maybe last week, I read out of Psalm 139, 7-10. And it's a moment where someone in the Bible is reflecting on the presence of God, the proximity of Him, the closeness of Him. And I want to read it. It says this, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. I really love that moment in Scripture because really I think it paints an idea that God is accessible. He's accessible wherever you are, whether you think you're in a season right now on the mountaintops and the heights of heaven, you're living on cloud nine, He's there. If you're the complete opposite, if you're in life and it feels like you're in the depths, it's like there He is also. If I'm kind of running away over here, He's there as well. His right hand guides me. He holds me fast. Our God is an accessible God. In other words, he has low branches. He's got low branches. And what I love is that he can meet us with that low branch in the depths of our life. And he says, hey, it's low enough that you can begin. And why don't you climb in me? Why don't you ascend in me? Why don't we go somewhere? I love that. You know, with our God, he's not only accessible, he's also ascendable. And I think sometimes we settle on the low branch. Hey, and we just go from the ground to the low branch, to the ground again, to the low branch, to the ground again, to the low branch. But I want to tell you something, this is a great adventure. I love baptism because it's not just about this moment, it's about every moment that follows afterwards. Jesus doesn't just do a work in the pool, he does a work every day in our lives. And he invites us into that great adventure. I think John illustrated that so beautifully, the idea, I'm giving you the pen, God, write an amazing story. Our God is ascendable. I love the Psalm 36:5. It says, your love, Lord, reaches to the heavens, your faithfulness to the skies. In other words, there's always another branch to climb. Your love, Lord. I was like, I think I've caught God's love. No, you haven't. There's another branch. Go up higher. I think I understand God's faithfulness. No, there's another branch. Keep climbing. There's a journey in God. There's an excitement in God. There's always another branch. Your love, Lord, reaches to the heavens. Your faithfulness to the skies. In Habakkuk 3:19, it says, the sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to tread on the heights. I love that. Like he enables me to tread on the heights. If life's just like one level, come on, let's climb the tree. He's ascendable. We can go further in him. There's an adventure in him. He enables me to tread on the heights. I love our God because our God is not just this distant deity in the sky. He's present here with me. He's present here with you. When we cry out to God, he's not just a distant God. He's right there. He's present with us. And he has a low branch that meets us in the depths, but he has a high branch that allows us to climb, allows us to ascend in him. And I think that's exciting. It's a very exciting journey. You know, we aren't far from Christmas. Who's already put up their Christmas tree? Arnold, let's go. You're crazy like my sister. My sister had her tree up like 4 weeks ago. Ridiculous. Probably 5 weeks ago, actually. But we're approaching Christmas, and Christmas is the time that we remember the world got Jesus. In other words, God was like, I want to demonstrate with great power and great certainty that I'm a present God, that I'm a proximal God, that I'm close, that I'm with you. And so we got Jesus, and we know that one of Jesus' name is Emmanuel, which means what? God with us. Like God just wants to hammer home this idea, hey, I'm accessible. I'm not this distant deity in the sky. I'm right here. I'm right with you. I am the low branch right there with you so that you can begin. Because I haven't got much time, I want to just go into Luke 19. It's a moment where Jesus is on earth and he's having a morning walk. A nice morning walk, and he's having a morning walk with his friends. He wakes up and he decides, hey, I'm going to go to this certain place. And he ends up passing through the town of Jericho. And his goal is just to walk through it. But the problem is that Jesus is starting to get more and more known. And so, like, if we were in New Plymouth, there might be a few known people here. I don't know. Is anyone famous in New Plymouth? Seth is. Okay, good. Who goes to the supermarket and you're trying to do a quick little run and then you run into people who know you and it's like, it's like, man, I'm just trying to get the groceries and get out and everyone wants to talk to you. This is all happening for Jesus, right? He's just passing through this town, and because he's known, everyone goes, it's Jesus. And people start to gather, and it gets so much that actually there's a crowd that gathers around. I'm just trying to keep moving. I'm trying to keep walking. But this massive crowd gathers, and in that massive crowd is a man called Zacchaeus. And Zacchaeus, if we were talking about, you know, how sometimes you talk about people and you go, you're trying to like describe who they are. If you're like, who's Zacchaeus? It's like, is he that Roman tax collector who's really short? Yeah, that's him. That's him. I think it's funny that the Bible points out that Zacchaeus is a shorty. And who knows that when you're in a crowd, it's like the tall people always win and the small people always lose. It's like if you were here this morning trying to sing the songs, you're like, I would love to sing worship, but I just can't see. Can't see the lyrics. It's like we should have a rule that all the tall people sit at the back and all the short people can sit at the front. I think we would sing louder, right? Because we'd all know the words. But when you're in a crowd, it's like the tall person always wins, the short person always loses. And so Zacchaeus, the little shorty, is in this massive crowd. And I reckon Zacchaeus has probably heard murmuring stories about Jesus. And that day, Zacchaeus is in that crowd, and I think he's there to work out, well, who's the man behind the stories? Who's the man behind the murmurings? Who's the man behind those little whispers that I've heard about? I want to know if he's real. I want to know what he looks like. I want to know if he can transform my life. And so he shows up into this crowd, but again, the problem is that he's short, so he can't actually see Jesus. And I think the little boy ignites in him, and he's like, what did being a little boy teach me? It taught me to look for a climbable tree. He starts scanning the surrounding trees around this moment of Jesus, and he goes, I need a sturdy low branch to begin, and I need some stable high branches so I can ascend and I can see Jesus. And so that's what he does. He looks around for this tree. I'm just going to read you Luke 19, 1-10. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. In other words, no one probably liked him. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, he's gone to be the guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, look, Lord, here now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I've cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay them back 4 times the amount. Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham, for the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Great story. And when I hear that, I just hear the line, we all need a low branch. We all need a low branch. Every single one of us sitting here today, at one point in our life, and probably every day of our lives, we need a low branch so that we can begin. And I reckon we all need a low branch because we're all short. We're all short. We're all short. Romans 3:23 says this, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. You gotta laugh, that's a scripture. Lord, they're laughing at your word this morning. What's going on? Come on, we all sinned. We all fell short. So in other words, we all needed a low branch to begin. And an incredibly low branch to begin. None of us were good enough. None of us could work our way out of it. None of us could reach the first branch in our own at our own strength to start the climb. We were all short. But Jesus came and he said, I'll be the low branch. At Father's Day, I was talking about the prophecies of Jesus. I think it's about 3 times. And these scriptures that speak of a Jesus, a Messiah to come, they call him the branch. Jesus is the branch. Come on, he's the low branch that we can begin on. Just as Zacchaeus finds, he goes like, I'm the tax collector. I'm the worst of the worst in this town. And are you telling me there's a branch low enough for me that I could come out of the depths? Come out of the place of desperation, come out of the place where I had no solution. You telling me there's a branch low enough? Jesus says, absolutely there is. Absolutely there is. There's a low branch so you can begin the climb. I love that, hey? How good is that? Because of God's grace, he extends us this branch, his son. He's the low branch, an accessible beginning. And I love that Zacchaeus discovers this. But what I love as well is that Jesus is also the subsequent stable branches that allow us to ascend, to have an adventure, to climb in him, to enjoy faith, to enjoy this walk of faith. It's really interesting. Jesus said this to Zacchaeus. He said, today salvation has come to this house because this man too is a son of Abraham. It's an interesting saying, hey. This man too is a son of Abraham. Abraham, if you don't know, is someone who's quite a significant figure in our faith. And if you read in the Bible, he's one of the founding people who really discovered God. And there's this we've talked about 2 distinctive features of a tree. I want to talk about 2 distinct moments in Abraham's life briefly. Genesis 13:14-15 says this, the Lord said to Abraham after Lot had parted from him, look around from where you are to the north and south, to the east and the west. All the land that you see, I will give you and your offspring forever. In other words, if you can see it, it's yours. If you got that promise, I'm trying to find a tree to get higher and higher and higher. Just like, stop. I'm like, I'm looking further, Lord. There's another branch to climb. I'm looking to your inheritance. I'm looking to your promise. And that's how God's saying, hey, don't settle. Oh, but I like this branch. So he goes, no, there's another sturdy branch. Climb a bit higher. Look a bit further. The promises are greater. The inheritance is greater. Genesis 15:5 is another moment. Abraham's in his tent, a small confined space, a place where vision is limited. And it says this, it says, he took him outside and said, look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. Then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. Another moment where God's saying, hey, look a little bit further. I've got a greater promise for you. There's a greater ascent. There's a greater journey. This is a climbable thing. Abraham, there's more sturdy branches for you to climb. And I really feel that there's people here this morning who need to hear that as well. There's more sturdy branches for you to climb. There's another tree on the branch. There's another sense of adventure. There's another sense of ascent. And so just to land today, the question is, what branch do you need today? What branch do you need today? Do you need a low branch? So perhaps you've never seen Jesus. Perhaps you've never looked. Maybe you're in church today and this is your first time ever in church. Maybe you've heard murmurings about Jesus, just like Zacchaeus had, some stories. And today you're like, I kind of want to see if he's real. I kind of want to know if he can transform my life. I kind of want to know if he could heal my heart and free me. The good news today is that there's a really low branch. There's a low branch so that you can begin. I love this thing. It talks about even in the depths, even if I make my bed in the depths, you are there. It's a really significant moment because I think that speaks of, God, I'm at my lowest point. I've hit rock bottom. And I'm actually resigned to it to the point where I've made my bed there. I'm just going to lay down. And this is going to be my portion in life. And what I love is that God says, hey, I'm there. Even in your lowest moment, where you've laid down and you think it's done. God's right there. And Jesus says, we'll just make the branch as low as it needs to go so that you can begin, so that you can come from the place of desperation and you can step into hope. You can start the journey. You can know salvation. You can know the joy I have for you. Come on, even if I make my bed in the depths, even if I resign myself that this is my portion in life, God's there saying, no, there's a branch. You can begin. You can climb. Maybe you've seen Jesus before. Maybe a few months ago, maybe last year. Maybe you looked to him. Maybe even prayed the salvation prayer. But maybe you're kind of like, oh, I feel like I went back and I made my bed in the depths. I feel like I lost sight of Jesus. I want to tell you again this morning, there's no low branch inviting you to climb again, to start the journey again. Come on, his grace says, hey, the branch is always there. It's extended. It'll meet you so that you can start. But I also feel for some people you're here and it's like you've climbed the tree before, you had your beginning in him, but it's like as you scaled the tree, it's like you just perched on a branch and forgot that there were more branches above you. And I feel God saying today, hey, do you want to climb again? Hey, there's another branch, man. Hey, there's another journey. There's another adventure in me. There's another ascent. You can tread upon the heights. There's another opportunity to look further. And some of us might even feel like we're a little bit like Abraham. We're in our tent and it's comfortable, but we can't see anything. God, I don't know where you are. God, it's just like wall, 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 wall. Has anyone seen Aladdin? And the genie comes out and he's like, brass, 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 brass. No? I love that moment. Will Smith. But some of us feel like that in our faith. It's almost like we're in the tent and it's like, everywhere I look, I got no clarity, I got no vision, I got no sense of where you're taking me, Lord. I got no sense of your call on my life. And maybe for you, you just need like an Abraham moment where God says, hey, come outside, ascend a little bit higher, climb the tree, look again and see a bit further. I reckon Zacchaeus probably kept climbing trees after that point where he got on the low branch. The low branch was so good that he's like, can I go to the next branch, God? Like, wow. Come on, if you're here and I don't know how many times or how long you've been following God, come on, I believe God's got another branch for you this morning to climb. Can we stand? What branch do you need?